And so we're going to spread this out over 2 days. We're going to look at the basic factoring techniques today, and then tomorrow we're going to look at the more advanced factoring techniques. Okay, the very first step whenever you factor at any given time is to take out the greatest common factor. So you're looking for something that's in common. That should be your first step whenever you factor. Every problem, that's the first thing you're looking for. So if I look at this problem, is there something that's in common with both of those terms? A 3. Anything else? An x. Okay, so I know 3 goes into both 3 and 12. So I'm going to take out a 3. I also see I've got an x squared and an x, so I'm going to take an x out. So now when I do that, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and finish the problem. And so I need to think 3 times what is 3? 1. X times what gives me x squared? X. So now I'm going to put the plus sign. 3 times what gives me 12? 4. X times what gives me x? Nothing. So there you go. You just factored. Okay, so the very first step is to do what? Very first step in any problem. Find the greatest common factor. Okay, let's look at this one. So the very first step is the greatest common factor. Is there one?
No.
Nope, there's nothing because you have a 1 here. 1x squared minus 8x plus 12. So there's not anything that will divide all 3 evenly. So now what we need to do is this is actually a quadratic. And whenever this number here is 1, in this case it is, you can jump right to your factoring pattern. The first term in each of these parentheses sets is going to be x in this problem. It's going to be whatever the variable is that's in the problem pretty much. Now what I need to do is you're going to always look at the last number. So in this case I'm going to look at this number, 12. So I'm looking for 2 factors of 12. And then now I'm going to work backwards. So 2 factors of 12 that add up to 8. What are 2 factors of 12 that add up to 8?
6 and 2.
6 and 2. Now I need to think, how can you get rid of, or how can you make 6 and 2 a negative 8? Negative 6 and negative 2. And there you go. Okay, that's it. You have to work your way backwards. Yes, you should remember it, because we did cover this in Algebra 1. Okay? You covered it more than they did, but... Okay. So let's look at this one. Okay, so x squared plus 14x minus 15. First step, take out anything that's in common. Is there anything that's in common? No. You see that this is a 1x squared right here, so that automatically means you jump to your parentheses. What's the first term in each of those? X. So now, once I do that, I now look at the last term. So I'm looking for 2 factors of 15 that differ by, because it's not plus, they differ by 14. What are 2 factors of 15 that differ by 14?
15.
1 and 15. So then now you need to think, how can you get a positive 14 from those 2 numbers?
Positive 15 and negative 1.
Positive 15, negative 1. There you go. Oh. So is it starting to remember this a little bit? Alrighty, so let's go ahead and look at this one. Very first step, what's in common? Nothing. So then now you notice you have 2 terms, right? Those 2 terms are both perfect squares, right? Good call. Now those terms are both perfect squares. For those who wonder, well, how'd you get that? This is an x squared. You know that 81 is a perfect square because what times itself gives me 81? 9. Okay, so whenever you have perfect squares, this is how you factor. We're once again jumping to parentheses. Okay? What do you think goes in the first? X. We always start with the X. Okay? And then, in this case, since 9 is my last number, 9 is going to go in both places. 1's plus and 1's minus. Good. Okay? So that's the difference of 2 squares. Okay? That is the difference of 2 squares. All right, let's look at another one. 9x squared minus 64y squared. Very first step. Take out something that's in common. Can you take out something that's in common? I don't think 64 is divisible by 3. Okay, I want you to try to do this one at your table. Okay, just try to do this. Take a guess. If you don't know, just try something.
Well, first.
Yeah. And they call it like
Always.
But if we put a y in one,
I think that's what you gotta do.
Gosh, that's
It's gonna be 3x.
I know.
That's what you do. Like, I forgot how to.
What number did we say?
X, Y,
Yeah.
X.
Put a 9 in there, kind of just like the
No, you don't put a 9.
Yeah, I can't remember.
Oh, never mind, that's not.
It's frustrating.
Hey, own it.
Is the minus sign. The 64. So what minus 6 is just like
No.
They're factors.
Yeah.
But then what?
What minus 64? I mean, what minus 9
What?
9 times 7. 9 times 7 is
This is
64.
worse than child.
The number minus.
No.
I don't think.
Oh, yeah. Okay, let's look at this. 9x squared. What is squared to give me 9? 3. What is squared to give me x squared? X. Okay. Now 64y squared. What is squared to give me 64? 8. What is squared to give me y squared? Y. So now by writing those two down, that should automatically tell you that the first term in each of the parentheses is what? 3x. That should now tell you that the last term in each of the parentheses is 8y. So by writing that down, you've made it a lot easier on yourself. Now what do I finish off with? A plus and a minus. Okay. Now if you remember what I said that this was going to be the basic factoring. Tomorrow we're going to look at the more advanced factoring. So what I want you to do is go ahead and get started on your assignment. Now your assignment, okay, what happened to the assignment page? Just a sec, we'll go back. Did I pass it? Okay. Here's your assignment on page P8, 1 through 22. You're not going to be able to do all 22 of them. So specifically, you're not going to be able to do numbers 7, 8, 9. You're also not going to be able to do numbers 12, 13, 14, 15, 17, 18. Okay, so there's going to be about 8 problems you will not be able to do. The other ones you will be able to do. And I expect you to at least get those done. Okay?
Okay.